Now I realize I spent a lot of time showing you how to make a set of balls or nuts you can play with, but I haven't spent much time showing you how to play with them. And that's because I kind of suck at it. However, I am competent enough to teach you 5 beginner Begleri tricks, it's kind of hard to say, so that you can look like a pro amateur intermediary player like me. First up, the rebound. And no, not that late 30s woman that you met on Tinder that didn't think the fact that she had kids was worth mentioning until the 3rd date. Anyhow, we're going to hold our Begleri in what's called the top grip. One bead captured in between your index and thumb, with the cord draped over the index finger, and we're just going to flip the Begleri back and forth. And it's going to rebound off the back of your hand and then back to the front. And it's just going to flip back and forth or rebound back and forth. Try to keep the path of the bead that's rebounding as straight up in the air as possible. Easy, right? Well, once you can do that, you can switch your grip from the top grip to low grip. When you flip it to the back, and then you can catch the free bead or ball in between your ring and pinky finger with the Begleri wrapped over the back of your fingers. From there, we can do rebounds again, but from the different low grip. Again, flips back and forth, bouncing off the back of your hand, but of course also flipping under your hand instead of over top. Now once you've mastered that, let's move on to wraps. Speaking of wraps, does anybody else miss the Big Mac snack wrap from McDonald's? I really miss that. Anyhow, we're going to hold one of our Begleri beads in the high grip, which is in between the index and middle finger, and then we're going to fling the free bead forward, and it's going to wrap around the index and middle finger twice. Note that when you're wrapping forwards, you can catch the free bead by slightly facing the palm of your hand upwards so that the free bead rests on your fingers. So do that a few times, and you need to walk before you can run, so don't move on to this next move until you've gotten a feel for wraps. Because this next one is called slips, and we're going to add that to our wraps. A slip is essentially an extra rotation you can mix into your combos or tricks to either build momentum or give you some extra time in between transitions of tricks. But we're just going to incorporate it into our wraps. So you see me just swing the bead back and forth in that circular pattern. Those are slips. I can fling the bead forward and it rotates once, fully going around, and then I proceed with the wrap. You can do this going back the other way too. And when you add slips into your combos, they add a bit of flair and extra movement so that what you're doing looks way cooler than it actually is. Now speaking of cool, this next move is the second coolest in the video, so be sure to stick to the end is what I'm saying. And it's the double roll, or what I get from skipping the gym too many times and eating cookies and coffee for breakfast. The double roll starts from the high grip. We fling the off bead forward, and as it goes in between our pinky and ring finger, we release the captured bead in the high grip, and the Begleri will roll around the middle finger and ring finger, and then end up in the low grip, which is in between the pinky and ring finger. And once you've done this enough times going from high to low, we can go back the other way from low to high. It's the same move, but just reversed. You might find that going from low to high is a bit trickier, but I find that giving your hand a light shake, the same motion you do as when you're shaking someone's hand, but a really toned down, like an awkward micro handshake version, kind of helps with the double rolls going from low to high. Can't really explain why, it just works.
All of this just works.
So you can go up and down with these double rolls, and notice the slip that I'm adding in between the double finger wraps. This just kind of gives me time to set up the transition going back and forth. Now that you've mastered double rolls, here is a go-to repeater combo of mine that you can also learn that looks really cool and is not all that hard in my opinion. We're going to start in the low grip, so fling the free bead forwards, and I'm going to catch it in the high grip in between the index and middle finger as the cord wraps over my thumb and index. This is going to create some tension on the cord, and then I'm going to release the low grip bead, do a slip, followed by a double roll, another slip, and then we're going to end back in the tension position between low grip and high grip. And from there, you just repeat the process. You can just continue going forward, doing these repeating double rolls over and over again, and you reset each time going around the back of your thumb and index finger. I think this move looks super cool, and yeah, it's just a nice little mindless repeater you can do. I want a quick word on Hex Nut versus Monkey's Fist Begleri. They're both great to practice with, but if you're worried about making too much noise when these inevitably drop on the floor, go with the Monkey's Fists as they have some padding. Also, they're much easier on the knuckles or ankles if you ever play with them while sitting on the floor or a bed. So which of these 5 tricks can you do? There are a ton of great resources out there that are far better than what I can do, so we'll have additional Begleri trick resources linked in the description and pinned comment.